Mothers' frustration about fathers were often discussed with children and mentioned around children. Don't you be like your dad, or oh God, you're just like your dad. It's so frustrating. Right through to wait until your dad gets home and you're going to cop it. So dads were tending to be reflected to children through the eyes of their mothers and culturally that happens quite a lot in different cultures. Fathers represent very authoritarian figures, and the last resort for discipline. But there are aspects of dads that we can take on as good or bad, depending on how we've been coached into perceiving them from our mothers.
I found that when I was younger, I would do anything to be the opposite of my dad. And I can relate to what you were saying about viewing dad through mum's eyes. My entire world was created through pretty much her words around him. And there were some things that she would say about my dad that were, it was, oh, you better do this because dad's coming home. Dad will get angry. This sort of fear that, okay, dad's the scary monster. And that would happen sometimes. And look, I love my dad, and can he be scary sometimes? Yeah, I mean, but that's not who he was. Yet that was sort of how it was perceived in that little kid's mind.
Hmm.
And so, as I was getting older, I remember just making that decision that I wasn't going to be like him, and I wanted to be, a completely different man. But I kind of threw all the good out with the few negatives, if that makes sense. And I remember even as a kid, I would. Not as a kid, when I was a teenager, I remember my dad doing the whole dad thing where I got my first car and he was showing me, here's how you change the oil. Here's what you need to do. You need to change your oil regularly or the car's not going to work properly. And I remember for probably about a year, I didn't change the oil once and the car kept running. And I thought, see, you know nothing, Dad. I was just Mr. Know-it-all. And I remember just doing anything to kind of prove my dad wrong and prove that, I'm not like him. And it's so childish looking back at it, but I can see how it's just continued into my adulthood. I've got a great relationship with my dad now, and there's so much wisdom that I can learn and gain from him that was unfortunately kind of chucked in the bin for many, many years. So it's been good to reconnect and to have some really, I guess, deep and meaningful conversations since we did our work together, which has opened those lines of communications and allowed me to develop those relationships way more than I did in the past.